to another episode of the Save Point Vids podcast. I'm Josh. Of course, I've got Sean and Chase here with us. Today's episode is going to be a little low key. There wasn't a ton of gaming news. We've got a new Nintendo Switch announcement. We've got a lot of actually news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. The Witcher Netflix trailer dropped, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we get into the details, I wanted to again remind you this is the Save Point Vids podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Go over to youtube.com/SavePointVids. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. And most importantly, please tell a friend about us. We couldn't do this without you. This is definitely a passion project, but we really believe that we're making great content. We'd love to share it with as many people as possible. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the news. First story I've got comes from GameSpot. It is it's not about the Switch Lite. It's the new and improved Switch model. This is, again, from GameSpot. It comes from Timur Hussein. If you love the existing Nintendo Switch, but just wish it could be a bit longer, wish it could go a bit longer between charges, you're in luck. Not long after announcing a more radical redesign in the form of the Switch Lite, Nintendo has revealed a more modest revision to the original Switch that appears to have only a single key difference: a better battery life. The original launch model's Switch's battery offered between 2.5 to 6.5 hours of playtime by Nintendo's estimates. However, this revised version will offer 4.5 to 9 hours, even topping that of the Switch Lite, which boasts improved playtime of the original Switch. It's going to cost $300. It's going to launch mid-August in the US. So this is not just to be clear, this is not the rumored Switch Pro, which, also, what am I trying to say? Also promised a bigger battery, but, bigger screen, better hardware. So, again, it's not a whole lot to add. It's just a new and improved model.
I'm wondering why they didn't just put that into the Switch Lite. That would just be another selling point for it. I mean, it already has a little bit longer battery life than the original. But that's kind of weird to me. Like, if the screen's the same size, the only thing that's different is the battery.
Yeah, so I think technically the battery itself is not bigger, but it's running on a new chip that is more power efficient. Not that matters. It still equals a longer battery. What I was kind of seeing online is that, it was kind of a weird move. But then again, you see, I know PlayStation has done it several times, even in this generation, where kind of the insides of the console are more power efficient and stuff.
Yeah,
and it makes it a little cheaper to manufacture, and obviously it ends up turning a bigger profit. But it's kind of like that. It's
is it still a docking
it still docks. It still has removable Joy-Cons. Everything's the exact same, except I think the chip is just more power efficient, which leads to a longer battery life. I heard a little bit on Twitter when I was reading about this is that they were afraid of market confusion.
Right. That's kind of what my first thought was, actually.
The way they're branding this is it's just in a red box. So the original Switch, it's like different multicolor, but this one is like a bright red box. I don't think it says new and improved or anything like that. But if you look at them side by side, it's supposedly it's the one in the red box.
So do you think that this is just going to kind of phase out the original Switch? That's what they're doing.
That's probably what they're doing, and then maybe depending on how long this life cycle goes for them, in another couple years when they're able to do it again, they'll have the Switch Lite, maybe the Switch Pro, and then they'll have the regular Switch that has a better battery. Where was it? Maybe it was Reddit or Reset Era, but somebody was saying hey, it would be a great idea if Nintendo wants to cover all their bases, because they'll have the portable only Switch Lite. They'll have the regular Switch that does both, and then maybe the Switch Pro is just one that is hooked up to the TV. So if you want a better resolution, more powerful hardware, it seems weird that they would do that, because
I don't see him doing that, because
but then
that's what makes the Switch the Switch.
That's the whole point of the name, is that you can switch it back and forth. the only thing that makes me think that they might do that is they did it with, was it the 3DS? They had the 3DS, and then remember, like up to a certain point, only certain games were playable on the new 3DS, and then there were other games that took advantage of the new hardware that it was too powerful to run on the previous.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the 3DS and the new 3DS.
Yeah.
That's what it was called, the new 3DS.
Yeah, the new 3DS.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so the new 3DS had like more powerful hardware inside that made the old versions, like games that were only released on new 3DS that took advantage of that hardware, they were unplayable, even though it was still technically a 3DS. It was unplayable on the old hardware.
I see.
Nintendo's, I mean, really, that just started with the 3DS life cycle. They didn't really do that before, where they like. It's really confusing. It really is, like, because you have like the 3DS, the new 3DS, the 3DS XL, the 3DS, something else, the 2DS. So it's like, I don't know, who knows, but yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're out to get a Switch, and you don't want to go with just the Switch Lite,
right. At least you got options,
it's the same. It seems like right now it's the same price. That was a little thing that also seemed a little strange, is that as of right now, they're both the same price, the Switch Lite and the revised Switch. So I don't know if there's a price drop coming for one of those. Because, I mean,
I would imagine. Maybe not at first.
Why would you? Well, my thing is why would you release a portable only that has technically less functionality because you can't hook it up to your TV?
Right.
Why would you sell it for the same price? You know what I mean? So I'm sure there's a price drop coming somewhere. Actually, now that I think about it, it's probably because they haven't announced it, because they don't. If they announce that there's a price drop coming, it's going to prevent people from buying Switch right now, because they're going to wait for it. Okay, so that makes sense. So yeah, they're probably holding out. They'll announce it closer to the holiday season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. Next story I've got comes from IGN. It says Google Stadia will offer, quote unquote, roughly one free game per month. This comes from Matt Kim.
What's roughly one? What's roughly one game?
1.5 games.
So
a game and a demo.
So this is from Matt Kim over at IGN. Give him a click. Google Stadia Director of Product Andriy Dorenichev tried to clear away some lingering confusion over Stadia by describing Stadia Pro as being more like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold than Netflix. Pro subscribers will even get one free game a month, quote unquote, give or take. So I don't know.
Take away the one.
I don't know. That's zero games. Give or take.
Dorenichev hosted a Reddit Ask Me Anything about the company's upcoming video game streaming platform yesterday to answer Stadia questions from the community ahead of the platform's November launch. Since Google announced its cloud streaming Stadia platform, there's been some questions about how the service will work. There's a monthly $9.99 subscription fee for Stadia Pro, but this fee doesn't actually come with a library of games. Instead, for $9.99, subscribers will have access to 4K resolution, 60 frames a second, 5.1 surround sound, and a free game of the month, starting with Destiny 2, The Collection. Dorenichev did add, quote-unquote, give or take, meaning there might be some months with more than one game or some months with no game at all.
That's what gamers want to hear.
Yeah. Using Stadia itself is free, and if you don't subscribe to Pro, you'll still be able to stream games at 1080p and 60 frames with stereo sound. The main thing about the Stadia game library is that you'll still have to purchase the games you want from retailers or publishers and build your own library. The free Stadia games from Stadia Pro will help pad the library out also. Another thing to note is that, like PS Plus and Xbox Live Gold, you'll lose access to your free Stadia Pro games if you do stop subscribing at any time. You'll regain access to those games if you resubscribe to Pro, and Google confirmed it will not remove any games from your Stadia library, even if it becomes delisted. It's almost over. Dorenichev revealed some additional details about Stadia, including how there will be some form of achievements, but not at launch. Same with Bluetooth audio, which won't be available at launch either. Google Stadia will be released sometime in November 2019. You can pre-order Stadia Founders Edition for $129. Comes with custom controller, Chromecast Ultra, 3-month subscription to Stadia Pro, early claim to a username, and a copy of Destiny 2. So yeah, that was interesting. I mean, it makes sense that they're going to compete. You know,
Right.
Microsoft and Sony have had this for several years now. It only makes sense. Now, it is a little strange that, yeah, like they said, give or take. Yeah, because nobody, like with PlayStation Plus, and I'm assuming, I don't play Xbox, but I'm assuming with Xbox Live Gold, I mean, granted, the quality of games goes up and down from month to month, but you're guaranteed something.
Mm-hmm.
So
like 4 games a month.
Okay, so
on Xbox.
PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 4, you have 2 PS4 games, and then if you still have a PS3 or a Vita, I believe you get 1 or 2 games for each of those platforms.
Yeah, I think that's how it is for Xbox.
But yeah, so that makes sense. Again, it's a little strange that, you know, if you're planning to have 4 games one month and then 0 the next, why don't you just split it up 2 and 2?
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It makes sense. I'm still, like I was saying, coming out of E3, I am still very interested in this streaming future, because if it's as easy and works as well as they say, where I can pull up any laptop,
Right.
and if I am a pro subscriber for $10 a month, I can play hypothetically at 4K, 60 frames a second.
Hypothetically.
Right. And, you know, I can be on, I mean, really any powered or any, you know, it doesn't matter what my configuration is for my laptop or my desktop, that as long as I have a Chrome browser,
Right.
you know, I'm good to go. So that, I mean, that's really cool. I'm very, very interested to see that, because, you know, who wouldn't want to necessarily pull out, you know, people that do travel a lot more than us. We don't travel too much, but, you know, if you happen to be out and about and you have your iPad or your phone, or you're at work and you're on your work computer and you're on your lunch break and you want to play games, all you need to, you know, pack is a controller. I'm very interested in this. I'm interested to see how this works in comparison to xCloud.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with you guys being Xbox players, it makes sense that, you know, that would be, if it's as easy as that.
The only reason, and not trying to be biased, but that I trust xCloud obviously way more than
Mhm.
Google is, tech-wise, they're similar companies, but
Sure.
Microsoft just they've been in the games business, and the thing about the Stadia is they don't have a whole lot of like leverage to get like new games on their platform.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the only thing they really have, actually, go ahead and finish. And
they don't have like leverage to get new games on their platform, because, you know, each third party title that they're bringing, they're paying
Mm-hmm.
whoever the publisher a certain amount of money to bring those games over, and nobody's wants to, with xCloud coming and with PlayStation going to be using Microsoft servers for
Right.
their streaming services. I don't. The all right. The good thing about Stadia is it's dropping soon, right?
November. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have like a leg up on this whole streaming thing if it works out how they plan to.
Right.
But Microsoft and Sony is going to be doing it so much better, and they're going to have their games on their respective platforms. And
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that they don't really have any first party exclusive games.
right. So why would you pick it up? You know what I mean?
Right. The only thing that I can think of is that not the only, but the biggest resource they have is money.
Exactly.
They're worth more than both of those other companies, so they technically do have more money to throw at somebody to buy a developer if they want, or create one from scratch. But, you know,
I don't know if that's what they want to do.
well, that's the thing. Well, then the only other point of view that I can think that they're coming from is because the reason you buy a PlayStation is to play games like Last of Us, Uncharted,
Mhm.
Spider-Man, God of War. You know, you pick up an Xbox primarily to play Halo, Gears, Forza, whatever. You know, if they're not playing the exclusive game, then their strategy, I have to assume, is the ease of use. Is that you can play anywhere
Right.
from practically any
The
device.
tech has to be perfect, though. It has to be as flawless and seamless as they make it out to be.
Right.
Because if it stumbles out of the gate,
Mhm.
people are gonna write it off real quick.
Well, that's the thing, is that, like, if let's say what you're saying is true, where Microsoft has tech that's just as good, if not
Right.
a little better, with xCloud, and you can play any of your games presumably from any screen, from an
Mhm.
iPad, from your phone, from a laptop, from a desktop, then what is the angle? Like, then why in this world? Then why would somebody go with Google
Right.
instead of Microsoft when if the tech works the same, the only thing that would differentiate it is the games.
Or price, maybe.
Price, yeah, that could be a big one.
I don't know about the price yet for
So,
xCloud.
And who knows, maybe...
Wait, did they talk about... I think they talked about price at E3. I don't remember.
I don't know if they did or not.
They might have.
But you have to assume it's going to be in that $10 to $15 a month range.
They're smart. They're not going to overprice it.
Yeah, and so that's my thing. Is like who... If they're not building a first-party studio or first-party title of games that are exclusive only to Stadia, then if the tech nets out the same, then really there's no reason to go with Google.
Right.
If everything else is even.
Right.
So
and one thing that you said about Google having a lot of money. The one strategy that they could do is to just throw money at publishers to make it a timed exclusive on Stadia.
That's something they could do too, 100%.
Which I don't know they're going to do, but they're going to do that for some games because they want their platform to be viable.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's the thing. I know that I don't remember if they announced the game that they're working on, but Jade Raymond, for those that don't know, she was one of the people at the head of Ubisoft when Assassin's Creed first launched way back, like the original. She was.
I remember that presentation.
Yeah, she was one of. Yeah, she was one of the original. I don't know if she was director or executive producer, but she was one of the bigwigs at Team and at that studio. They lured her away to Google to head up a first party.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so technically they do have a first party. Now, I as far as we're aware, that's the only first party they have. So again, they could create one.
Right.
They could buy one out. So they have some things cooking, but I don't know if that one studio or even 2 or 3 studios is necessarily going to be enough to, like you said, somebody that has access to both or is thinking about getting both. The only thing that I can think of is, now that I'm kind of talking it out, is, if you already have a laptop, the barrier to entry is so low because you don't have to buy the next Xbox and then get xCloud. Because, you know what I mean? Like if you already have an iPad, then you've already made that investment. Then now it's just $10 a month. Yeah. So who knows? I mean,
xCloud might work the same way.
It could, yeah. So we really don't know. Obviously, we're all speculating. It's interesting. I really hope that Google finds a place. I really hope that xCloud works well. I hope PlayStation Now evolves into the next iteration of to keep up. I don't know if Nintendo will ever jump on board. They seem to be.
They were in their own lane, man.
But you have to imagine that they have to be working on something. But that's a whole another conversation. But I think that there's still room for more people. And if Google,
I don't want them to fail.
If anybody's gonna jump in the ring with Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, it's Google.
Google.
You know what I mean? Like they're the only. It could have been Amazon.
Or Apple back in the day.
Or Apple. There was a couple of companies. Apple seems to have backed way off.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs famously didn't want games on the App Store because he didn't want it diluted with basically trash, is what he called it.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash in your App Store.
Yes,
for sure.
But anyways, so we'll see. I hope it does well. I'm interested to see come November. I did not get the Founders Pack. If it works as well as they say when it comes to public release next year, early next year, hopefully, for $10 a month, it's almost an impulse buy.
Right.
It's no contract, so you can try it for a month or two, see if you like it. Even you don't even have to do that. Again, you can play it for free.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to buy your games a la carte, but then you have access to your Steam.
So are they gonna have like a storefront like Steam?
I'm assuming that's what it
like
is.
That?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what they would have to do. Is that, they'll have like a Google store probably, and you buy your games, and then you just anytime you're logged into your Google Gmail account, you'll have access to it anywhere you go.
I definitely want to try it. So, it's coming out soon, so that it has kind of a leg up on kind of feeling out what kind of future
Right.
is in store for everybody else. So hopefully it
Yeah.
does good.
All right. Next article or next story comes from IGN by way of Alyssa Judge. Marvel's Spider-Man is the United States best-selling superhero game. Marvel's Spider-Man now holds the record for the best-selling superhero game of all time in the United States, according to the NPD. This bumps Batman Arkham City off the top list, or off the top spot, which is impressive since that means Insomniac's Spider-Man game outstripped a 2011 multi-platform release in less than a year. The stats were released in a tweet by Matt Piscatella, an analyst at NPD who tracks video games. The table doesn't reveal the exact figures of just how far ahead Marvel's Spider-Man is compared to Arkham City, nor the exact timing of when it took the lead, though the data seems to have been pulled in May of 2019. It's also important to note that this data has been mined from U.S. sales only, meaning the global picture could be quite different. During its first 3 days on shelves, the game sold 3.3 million copies, making it the fastest PlayStation exclusive ever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not like a super deep story. Did you guys play it?
No.
I mean, I know you don't have.
I watched
I don't know if
Leo play it.
Oh, okay. So somebody played it. Okay. Fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's such a good game. I mean, if you guys think, and I know this comparison's been made to death, but if you think about what Spider-Man 2 was when we played it originally,
Right.
like this is what it actually, you know what I mean? Like when you
Uh-huh.
think back about how great that game looked and felt when it came out, like through, you know.
Well, I heard they brought on like for the web slinging, like
Mhm.
physics or whatever. I heard they brought on the original guy who created that physics engine code for the Spider-Man 2.
Oh, really? I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
To help work on it.
It's so good. Like you can tell they spent so much time just with the animations and the physics because it's very hard to get stuck in that game. So like even
Right.
like if you remember playing Spider-Man 2, like if you're swinging and you hit a wall, like you're swinging through the city and you hit like the side of a skyscraper, like your momentum stops you.
Right.
But here, if you swing and you hit one, he'll automatically start running up the wall just to keep that sense of momentum going.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. There's animations for everything. The story was really cool. It was a different take on, you know, Spider-Man and Peter Parker and kind of the Aunt May and the people closest to him. Just a great game. It really is. I mean, I played it once, but I went back for like different trophies and like collectibles
Yeah.
and stuff. It was just fun to be in that world.
I do love Spider-Man.
I'm excited to. I mean, I have to imagine they're making another one. If it's the best-selling game, you know, you have to
Yeah.
imagine that there's a deal somewhere with Insomniac and Sony where they'll, you know, probably a PS5 game at this point. But yeah, who knows? And the story did leave it. I won't spoil it, but the ending left on a cliffhanger where they're setting it up for a sequel or a series of games. So I'm excited to see that. So congrats, Insomniac, on your success there.
Not surprised, Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It's either, you know, ask people what their favorite
Right.
superheroes is, Spider-Man or Batman.
Yeah, exactly. This one is going to be real quick. This comes from Kotaku. Heather Alexandra. There's no real news story, but for those that don't know, Kotaku is really good about doing retrospectives on like big franchises. Jason Schreier over there, he did a great one on the Final Fantasy series
Uh-huh.
where he wrote basically this really giant, well thought out, in-depth article about each of the mainline Final Fantasy games. Kind of going into the history of them, like the development, you know, just the public reception. He kind of melds it into this great story. But Heather Alexandra over at Kotaku, she's doing one on Metal Gear. So for those that are Metal Gear fans, it's required reading. Check it out. She actually starts all the way back on the NES. So Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. And then, just goes into the history of the game. Again, for people that, you know, like history or are a fan of those specific franchises, it's really cool to see. So yeah, check it out. It's really good. I recommend it. I started reading about the first one, the actual Metal Gear on NES, and it's fascinating. And then the last story, guys, kind of our deep dive is this comes from Twinfinite, Giuseppe Nelva. The Witcher Netflix series showcases characters and story in the first trailer. Did you guys watch the trailer? Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll get into
sure
that
did.
here in a second. Okay, so let me read this real quick, and then we'll kind of get our thoughts together. Today, following a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, Netflix revealed the first trailer of the upcoming The Witcher TV series. The trailer provides an extensive look at the game's characters and action, including Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer. It certainly looks rather interesting, even if fans of the game might feel a slight disconnect to the series being okay. That's a little bit of. Okay, so that was pretty much it. So so coming out of Comic-Con, they announced, they showed the first footage, I should say, of the Witcher series. First impressions, what'd you guys think?
I think it looks good.
Yeah.
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 I'm still not 100% sold on Henry Cavill as Geralt.
Did he remind you of anybody else? Just no, nothing. He reminded me of Viserys.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Game of Thrones.
He does kind of have that.
Because the bleach
that
blonde hair,
Yeah.
it's kind of pulled back into like a half ponytail.
Yeah.
Every time I saw him, I was like, I cannot get over the fact that he looks like Viserys. But it looks cool.
He was speaking with a British accent, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
See, I only heard like a line of dialogue, and it was
Yeah.
for like a split second, but I need to hear that more
Yeah.
before, because something as bad as like an accent or something can really take me out.
it really can. If it's
an
really
experience.
poorly done, then it reminds me of it's not a TV show or movie. It's you guys played Heavy Rain, right?
Mhm.
The origami killer. Yeah, because they tried to get guys from, I don't remember, somewhere in like, I don't know if it was Eastern Europe or they were somewhere or like the Baltic states,
Yeah.
but they were trying to like speak with an American accent, and they kept coming out the origami killer. That's what it reminds me of. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. It looks like it's an origin story. If it's Game of Thrones mixed with, I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot. There's a
Lord
lot
of the Rings.
high fantasy. There's magic and different races. If it mixes it well, I'm interested to see how it turns out. I really hope that, and maybe they talked about this. I don't know, but I'm hoping they really stick to the mature themes like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It is on Netflix. So hopefully they do. But for those that didn't play The Witcher, they do touch on some mature themes. There is like, not that sex is automatically a mature theme, but a lot of sex and over the top violence. It can be very gory. So I'm hoping they stick to something like that and they don't dumb it down and make it like PG-13.
I don't want it to be too like campy.
Yeah. Like if they're gonna do it the right way. Take your cues from Game of Thrones and make it as make it the way they need to make it to have their vision on the screen. But yeah, Henry Cavill, I was
never like, when I heard it was announced that he was playing them.
I will say
still have reservations,
Yeah.
but I'm excited for it to
Do
come
you
out.
remember the screen test? He looks a lot better than the original screen test that they showed. Now,
Yes,
he has
yeah.
like makeup.
Yeah,
In a lot of scenes, he looked like more shaggy. And
yeah.
It looked more like the video game character that people recognize. So that's a little bit of a relief.
Yeah. So I mean, they look like they're doing it well. I mean, it looks like it has the budget. If they got Henry Cavill, he's a huge star. It looks like they're Netflix is gonna pour their money into this. And hopefully, you just have to assume they're trying to make it Netflix's version of Game of Thrones, where it's like a big event every time a new season launches, and it's like this cultural thing. I don't think it's ever going to be Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was such a lightning in a bottle type of moment where it just kept building and building. But, I mean, who knows? Hopefully this is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah,
Just because I'm
I'm
fan
excited
of the
for it.
series.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not too much like I saw a lot of CGI
Yeah.
and with they don't have like movie budget. And
or Game of Thrones.
I
budget.
wish
Right.
those kind of things had more practical effects. Like even quote unquote good CGI, like CGI now that would be like great CGI like 20 years ago, it can kind of take me out of
Yeah,
out
I
of
mean, it can if it's done it only takes a moment for you to
Right,
notice
it's kinda
something,
like,
and then it does take you out. You
Dude's
know,
just fighting air.
right.
Or something.
So, yeah, hopefully they didn't announce a release date, did they? There was no release date.
I don't think so.
So hopefully 2020, you have to assume if they're filming now and they've got obviously footage for a trailer, you have to assume that hopefully in the first half of 2020 the first season will drop. I'm excited. I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think it's a slam dunk by any means.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be proven. I mean, it's not. Well, actually, I was going to say it's not a name that a ton of people, like we in the gaming, that follow games know The Witcher. But if you go to somebody on the street and ask what The Witcher is, but I mean, the same could be said for Game of Thrones when it first came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man.
Like when season 1.
I'd never heard of A Song of Fire and Ice before Game of Thrones.
So that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to do well. But yeah, they have to execute on it. So hopefully they have to, let's.
If anything, I think Witcher is more well known than Game of Thrones was.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very
because The
good
Witcher
chance.
3 is such a big game that even like non-hardcore gamers, at least like they probably heard about it in passing.
Yeah, I
And
mean
they-
that's true. Yeah,
Man,
you're absolutely right.
People's girlfriends were probably pissed. Like, my boyfriend put my Witcher. Whatever the hell that is.
So, but yeah, guys, that's all that I've got. Did you guys have anything? Any news stories? It's still a slow week.
It was really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there were
A lot of Comic-Con news, but I mean,
Yeah.
that was just more movies than anything else.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't like a ton announced as far as that's pretty typical of Comic-Con.
Do you have a Switch?
No,
I will say we've been playing Octopath Traveler.
I want to play that.
It's
Do you
really
guys
fun.
have a Switch?
Yeah, we found it.
Okay, fair enough.
It's Leo's Switch. I didn't know where it was.
I want to play that game so
It's,
bad.
yeah, it's really fun.
Is it?
It kind of has like a. Did you ever play like Bravely Default?
That was
on
another
the
good one.
3DS.
That was a Square Enix game too.
yeah. It
No.
kind of has like a little bit of a feel like that.
It's the thing that struck me the most is the art style. Obviously, it's
Really
like
cool
it's
art.
gorgeous. I hope that Square wisens up and will do like a Final Fantasy VI remake in that style. I think
That'd
that
be
would be
really cool.
so cool to
Yeah.
see.
It's like 2D, but like
Yeah.
It's like 2.5.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It has
Good,
depth
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's really cool. Cool combat, you know.
Now, is it? You have to remind me. Is it like traditional turn-based?
Yeah, it's turn-based, but it's like Final Fantasy X where you can see the turns like
Ahead of
the
time,
end- yeah,
like
ahead of time.
the order
So-
of actions. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty deep combat. I don't know.
It's
It'd
really
probably-
strategic.
Yeah, it'd
Really.
probably take me a little while to
Now,
actually
is
explain
it
but
is it just like you stand on one line, they stand in the other, and you trade blows, or is it like you position yourself on the field, or how does that work?
no,
you stand and you're opposite each other.
Okay.
It's like really traditional
Okay.
Makes
JRPG.
sense.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it was like that, or if it was like Final Fantasy Tactics, where you
Right,
you
yeah.
position around, depending on your position.
Yeah, you'd like it for sure. It's really cool.
I want to play it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until this fall, but depending on how the price works out for the Switch and the Switch
Mhm.
Lite, I'm going to end up getting one version of that or the other. I don't know I have to think about if I want to be able to hook it up to the TV. If that means enough to
Yeah.
probably pay
I don't
more.
think we've ever hooked it up. To
Yeah,
the
that's
TV.
what I'm because
Ever.
yeah. So
maybe when
Maybe
it first came out.
Yeah, when we first got one,
Right.
and then we were playing Zelda,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. So there's some games on there that I want to play. So yeah, I'll probably end up getting one this fall for sure.
did you ever play Zelda?
I haven't played anything. from
Breath
this
of the Wild is
it's one of the best games
games
I've
I've
ever
ever
played.
played. Yeah,
one.
it's one
Is
of
it
the best
really that
games
good?
No,
Yes.
it's really. I didn't think it would. I'm just like
I feel like
It's-
Nintendo gets like a pass
no,
because I think
no.
hear me out. Because I think that if you like on a Metacritic scale, like if it's a Nintendo game, they automatically get like a 5 or 10 point buffer. And
Well,
you know what I mean?
maybe, but maybe it's just because Nintendo makes. Good
They make great games. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that their games are trash or that they're not even great because they are. But I think that if you can imagine a world where there was a 3D platformer that wasn't Mario, with a different character, but everything else with the exact same. I'm talking about Odyssey. That, like,
I haven't played Odyssey.
so I mean, but you get
Right.
you get my point that if it was just a different character that didn't have Nintendo's name stamped all across it,
Right.
then it wouldn't be getting 99s out of 100s.
Probably not.
That's my point.
But maybe, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I could-
there's like
that's all
platformers like
hypothetical,
Celeste.
Right,
you
no, I
There's,
know.
like, platformers like Celeste that,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, for sure.
get Game of the Year.
But
But
dude,
Breath of the Wild is
Is it really that good?
It's like,
Because even before like I played it, it was just like another open world game,
Right.
and they
But
stuck Zelda in
then,
it.
yeah.
And it's
But-
kind of like, well, it's gonna be cool, but it's still gonna. But no,
right.
It's
Is it really
it's
that
better
good?
than I thought it would
Yeah.
be.
I might have to check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
it's definitely, if not my top Zelda game, definitely like in the top 2 or 3.
I was gonna say, like, mine is still Link to the Past. With
Mine's either like Breath of the Wild or Wind Waker.
Wind Waker is good. Wind Waker, I think
Wind Waker is really
Actually,
underrated.
let's
I
save
love
this. We'll
Wind
do
Waker.
our maybe like top 5 or top 10 Zelda games.
Okay.
But yes, I'm interested to play it. Obviously, it was getting universal, praise,
Yeah.
and rightly so. So, yeah, that's another one that I like I said, I haven't played anything on Switch. I've played Switch literally one time for about 10 minutes at your guys' place, maybe last Christmas or whenever you guys first got it. And it was Mario. I think it was Mario.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I played Mario. I played like one level of Mario for 10 minutes and then I haven't played it since. But yeah, you guys been playing anything else on there or anything else in general?
Sleeping Dogs.
What's Sleeping Dogs? Oh,
Dude, that
dude, that
Hong
game was
Kong.
great.
Yeah,
That game was
Grand Theft Auto.
fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that game, when I just because it was
Was
in
it
my
on
back
Xbox?
catalog
Okay.
because like for Xbox Live free game
Mhm.
from like months and months and months ago,
Right.
and I just never got around to playing it until just now. And yeah, like the first time I played it,
That's a
I think I
great
played for like
game.
6 hours straight.
Yeah. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I don't remember too much about the story. I remember playing it on PS3 when it originally came out, but that was a game that I just couldn't stop playing. There was
Yeah.
something about it that just hooked you.
It's like I think it's the environment, like the
Mhm.
world. They did a really I don't know what the hell Hong Kong looks like, but I'm guessing it looks something similar to how Sleeping Dog shows
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what really kind of got me. It was so different than anything I
Yeah.
ever played.
Oh man, that's such a good game.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm in the middle of that.
I like the concept of it too, because like in like Grand Theft Auto, and all
No.
that you're always playing like the criminal, but
So-
this one you're an undercover cop playing a criminal.
Right.
Okay.
So you kind of have to toe the
So
line.
is it like a noir crime story? You have to remind me what it's about.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very like in that sense it's kind of noir, but
It's like Departed.
it's also
Okay.
a little over the top in
Sure,
a Tarantino
okay.
kind of way.
See, that reminds me, you guys really, if there's a way, I think you guys would really like the Yakuza series. I know we talked about it last week.
Yeah, I
The
never
Yakuza,
played the
I played
and
the
Judgment.
first one.
Oh, maybe the first one, but
I think they're PlayStation exclusives. Same thing. It's a
I
noir
like
story.
those kinds of games. Like
Now it's not
Yakuza
as open as this. There are no cars to drive. You're basically stuck in one borough or whatever you call it, like one neighborhood of
Uh-huh.
Tokyo. But same type of setup, story. Very dramatic.
right.
It's about the seedy underworld of organized crime and this and that. So, but Sleeping Dogs, I remember playing that. And I remember beating it. It
Yeah,
was,
it's
it was really good.
game. I like that a lot.
Anything else? Still Call of Duty?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. When we got some free time.
I haven't been
But
playing.
that's about it.
I was gonna say I haven't been playing too much. Well, actually, that's not true. I haven't been playing too much on console. I have been playing a ton of. I've been playing more Dr. Mario, which again,
Getting far?
level 40 or stage 40. I don't know how many there are, but
hundreds.
yeah,
if
I'm
not
sure.
thousands.
Yeah, so barely scratch the surface, but it's fun. I like it. I still haven't put a dime into it, and I don't plan to. But yeah, if you get just like Candy Crush, you get like
Right.
3 or 4 tries per half hour or something. And if you end up wasting them or going through them, then it asks you to pay $5 or whatever for unlimited for an hour. So I don't know. So if I ever get to that point, I just turn it off and wait an hour.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, they're starting to introduce new elements. It's still at its core a match 3, So the other game that I've actually been playing on there is Kingdom Rush Vengeance, which if you don't know, Kingdom Rush, it's been on the App Store, Google and iOS for several years. I mean, they have 3 or 4 individual games on there.
Is that the tower defense?
It's tower defense.
Tower defense games are like my favorite cell phone games.
It's such a good game. I love
I
it.
could just never really get into tower defense.
Really?
I mean, I haven't played one in a while, but I remember playing. I don't know if it was.
It's just
I
not
think
my thing.
This one it was $5 on the App Store. Totally worth it. Granted, I've only played it for about 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's it's just chaotic enough to where you feel like you're gonna fail, and then
Right.
somehow you pull it out at the last second. But yeah, I mean, you get at the beginning of each stage, you get an unlimited amount of time to basically you start with a certain amount of gold where you can, build whatever defenses you want. Before each match or before each battle, you can set it up for different abilities and different heroes that can be equipped with different abilities, that deal more damage than your typical, characters or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, once the battle actually starts, then I'm just now getting to the point where they can come at you from different paths.
See, that's where I usually quit because that gets scary.
So this map, for example, there's a path in the bottom right part of the screen that they can come from, or in the top right, and there's the line on the left side of the screen or the left side of the map that you're trying to get them to if a certain number of enemies cross over that line, then it's game over.
Right.
And then you have little towers or little sites where you can build towers and things. But yeah, like I said, it's a perfect game on the phone.
Yeah.
The interface is great. The only thing and it's not really a knock, but some of the missions can take a really long time, which is kind of antithetical to a mobile game where it's supposed to be pick up and play for a couple minutes and put it down. I can spend 15 or 20 minutes on a mission. Not that that's a huge deal, but just know that if you're, expecting 5 minutes and to put it down. But that's a good game. And then Harry Potter, Wizards Unite. Every day, I just open it up. If I happen to be out, see what's out there. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's a time waster. It's not like anything that I don't go on walks to just play Harry Potter. But if I happen to be out, I'll check it. But other than that, I mean, still Apex. The only thing that I really see coming out this summer for the rest of the summer that I'm interested in is Wolfenstein. I'm actually thinking about going back and playing Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Is that the second one? The first?
This
one?
is the 4th one. There's
I beat the first one, and then
there was one that came out in 2009 that was just titled Wolfenstein.
I think that's the one I beat.
And then there was one that came out in 2014, which was the reboot.
That's the one I beat. Yeah.
It was Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Then there was Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which was a prequel to The New Order. Then there was Wolfenstein something. I can't remember the subtitle, but there was a third one, and then there's Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is the one coming out next week, or I think this week, actually, Tuesday or Friday or something.
I really dig
those games are great.
Game.
Yeah, I mean it's alternate history. This is
shooting Nazis is always fun.
Shooting Nazis is always fun. It's alternate history. What if the Axis powers won World War II type of thing. I'm thinking about going back and playing the others just to prep myself.
Is Borderlands coming out anytime soon?
November. I mean, it comes out this fall.
I thought that was a late summer, but
no. I really don't know of anything of note that's coming out in August. I really can't think of anything. I mean, what I would consider the first game in the fall season worth a lot would be Gears 5. Comes out in mid-September.
Oh, okay.
So I think that would probably kick off the fall season unofficially. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I haven't been playing a whole lot. Like I said, it's a slow time, so I'm just kind of slowly working my way through backlogs and things like that. Anything else?
No.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, I have a new game, so this is what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, so on Wednesdays when we have the definitive top 10, we're going to end that episode with a round of trivia. On Mondays, I thought it would be fun to end this one on a different game, but we are going to play 20 questions, something video game related. So this first one does not have a specific topic as far as like, it's not, like we did last week where it was like first person shooters. Uncharted is not a first person shooter.
I learned that after the show.
But yeah, so this one is just a game that I have. And then, you guys start asking questions.
So you have the game.
I already have the game in mind. I thought about it earlier.
So it's just whoever gets it first?
No, I mean, so this one I think, I don't know how to do it as a
competition.
Like, so I figured guys could collaborate and just ask, back and forth 10 questions each or whatever.
I don't like collaborating with you, but I will.
At least I knew Uncharted wasn't a first-person shooter.
All right.
Is it a current generation game?
No, it is not.
Okay.
That narrows it down to about 4 other generations.
I know, right? That's like a quarter of our questions. Let's see. Was it a AAA title?
For its time, yes.
That's what I mean, for its time. Okay. Doesn't really narrow it down a lot, but it's a cumulative thing. Once you get to the end, it'll be clear. Did it have true 3D graphics?
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right, so that knocks out a chunk of systems and games. Was that 3? That was 3 questions?
Yeah, I'm keeping track. Yeah, that's 3 questions.
Is it a Sony exclusive?
No.
So at the time, it was a AAA title.
Was it multi-platform?
No.
Okay.
It's 5 questions.
So it wasn't exclusive. Was it an Xbox exclusive?
No.
Wow. Nintendo?
It's 6 questions down. 14 to go.
Okay. Was it on the GameCube?
No.
7.
I'm keeping track too. You can put your fingers down.
I was gonna say I'm running out of fingers. Okay, so true 3D, AAA. Also not. Was it on PC?
No, not PC.
Okay, so
It's
PC's out.
8 questions.
I guess we just run through the consoles.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of 3D consoles.
Was it on the N64?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm getting close.
That's 9 questions.
Was it a platformer?
Yes. It's 10.
Okay. Was it
Banjo-Kazooie?
No.
No.
It's 11.
Was it Banjo-Tooie?
No. It's 12.
Was it? Is it Mario?
Nope.
Mario 64.
Nope, that's 13.
That's too obvious. He would never.
Yeah.
A platformer for? I didn't
Was it
play
Donkey Kong 64?
It was Donkey Kong
So
64.
how many did we get it in?
5, 10, 14 questions.
Hey, that's not bad.
14 questions. The answer was Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, I've never even played Donkey Kong. I don't
I
remember that game.
remember
at
playing
all.
it. We rented it.
Yeah, that's
when
where
it first came
That's
out.
where I remember playing it.
I don't remember.
All right, good job, guys. I'm gonna have to think of like a more obscure game next time. But yeah, I mean that's everything I've got. Unless you guys got any last minute comments.
Yeah.
So this episode is going to go live. Actually, obviously, it'll be live by the time you watch this because that's the only way you'll be able to watch it. I was gonna say it's gonna go live on July 22nd at noon. The next episode after that will go up on the 24th at noon. That one is going to be the top 10 list, the definitive top 10. What did we decide it was going to be?
I don't
Top
think we
10
picked it.
franchise.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
franchise.
So top 10 video game franchises. The caveat is it has to have at least 3 games in the series for it to
Right.
qualify. But yeah,
That's
check it
gonna be a
out.
hard list to do.
I wrote my 10 out. I just don't know necessarily what order I want to put them in.
I have like 8 out of my 10.
I have 10 and then like 5 more, and I keep thinking
Like
for reasons to put them in or take them out. But
right.
we'll get to it when
I have a
when we
couple
do that
honorable
episode.
mentions that I might throw in my
Yeah,
top
we'll
10.
do like an
Yeah, we can do an
mentions,
honorable mention
'cause-
list.
that I might throw in my top 10 if I can't think of
Right.
one that I want to put in there.
Right.
But as of right now, because I'm like on it, but it's like
That's
I
all right.
enjoy it.
Right.
But if I can't think of ones that I like more, then I'll throw it. in
All
my
right,
top 10.
now real quick, like for the top 10 franchises, is it just our personal favorite, or like how
Yeah.
important they were, or just
Our
a
personal
mixture?
favorite. That's how we've been doing
yeah,
them.
so
now.
your personal favorite, how important they were to you.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily the top 10 like culturally relevant or
Right,
culturally
okay.
important.
Yeah, because I mean, you'll find out was it Wednesday, but I'm just letting you know right now. I doubt Mario will be in my top 10.
Ooh, that's a hot
Okay.
take.
All right.
That's a
all
hot
right.
take. All right.
Chase doesn't like plumbers.
It's not that I don't like him. It's just
You do like plumbers.
Chase hates Italians. It's fine. All right. So yeah, guys. I mean, I don't know how to transition from that.
No.
So yeah, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Again, just like I said at the beginning, please let someone know about Save Point Vids. We definitely appreciate and love all of these supports. We will see you guys next time. Everybody stay safe.